Hold up.
I hope you're having a great day and I hope you're staying safe at home. Today, I don't want to talk about the benefits of garlic, ginger, exercise, sleep, or anything. Today, I want to talk about the health benefits of crying. You see, for the last couple of weeks, I've been deep into my research, my scientific research of crying. Because you know what I've noticed? A lot of my patients, a lot of my clients who cry always say that, Luke, we feel so much better. We feel so much better after we've had a good cry. So I've started looking into this because, crying is looked at very negatively. Crying is seen as a weakness. We build a mindset which is very negative towards crying, and it comes with all of these stigmas and all of these belief systems that we've grown up with as we were children. Whatever perspective our parents had on crying, or our teachers, if they told us not to cry, if they told men, be a man, don't cry, or women, that's a sign of weakness, don't cry, put a smile on your face. But it doesn't change the truth that most people say they feel much, much better after they've had a good cry. And at the end of the day, we need to take a step back and see that crying is a natural process in the human body. You see, our bodies wouldn't have made any mechanism that can harm us. Every single mechanism in the human body is an intelligence which is made to actually add benefits to us. We get a pain. Okay, we look at pain negatively, but hey, that's a symptom. A symptom is always not negative. A symptom, if looked at the right time, we can take the right action, and that could have been your early warning signal. You see, so we constantly get signals and symptoms, so the body is always doing the right things at the right times. It's humans that do the wrong things. So when I break down into our research the benefits of crying, number one, there are three kinds of tears. One is our reflex tears, whenever there's a little dust that gets into our eyes, or smoke or debris or anything like that, we start tearing up. That's the body's natural defense mechanism to, kind of lubricate the eyes and remove that dust or that smoke or that debris from our eyes. Then we have our basal or continuous tears. This is for our lubrication. If I ask you to keep your eyes wide open and stare at me, have a competition right now, you'll find that you start tearing up, without blinking, you start tearing up. These are called our continuous tears or our basal tears, which is required for lubrication. We need continuous lubrication. That's why when you have a dry eye syndrome, your doctor gives you lubricants or drops, because it can actually worsen your condition if your eyes continue to be dry too long. And then we have emotional tears, which are stimulated by a negative emotion or sometimes even a positive emotion. Have you ever cried because you're overly happy? You're excessively happy. Have you ever cried when someone's praised you? That's a positive emotion that also leads to crying. And then you have the negative emotions like hurt, betrayal, anger, pain, and all of that stuff that also leads to crying. So what are the benefits? The beauty and the science behind the emotional tears is, number one, it starts to release. There are stress hormones and toxins found in emotional tears. So number one, if you're trying to detox your liver, it doesn't mean you have to cry. I'm just saying that crying is a necessary function for the human body, and in those tears are found several stress hormones which are present in our body. So when we cry, we actually stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the relaxation response. Most of us think that when we're crying, it's stress, but you see, that's where we're wrong. The science shows us that when we're crying, we are actually stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest, relaxation. So we cry, or crying is the body's way of putting you into your rest and digest, which is non-stress, non-fight and flight. So crying is actually good for our stress levels. The problem is when we hold it in us and it builds up into more anger, more frustration, more hurt, and more betrayal, our cortisol, adrenaline, all of that, and our stress hormones increase and flood our blood. So you see, crying is not a negative response. It is a positive response to actually relax the body, to relax our arteries, to move toxins in the form of our tears out. So that's one point. Number two, when we cry, we produce oxytocin. Oxytocin is a chemical that helps us to feel better. We also produce something called endogenous opioids. The simple word for that is endorphins. We produce endorphins when we run, when we exercise, the feel-good hormones. So we know today that crying can actually even reduce or dull your pain. So you see, when we get hurt and we have tears that come up in our eyes, but we hold back because we want to show that we're strong, but crying is actually producing more and more oxytocin and endorphins that can dull pain. You see the intelligence of the human body. So if we're in pain, instead of trying to show that we're strong, let the tears flow, because that is producing chemicals like oxytocin and endorphins that can help you dull your pain, improve your mood, and help you feel better without your body staying in the fight and flight response, which is the stress mode, which further affects your immune system, your digestion, your heart rate, your blood sugar levels, your cholesterol, and everything else. So you see, when you take a step back and you really look at anatomy and we really look at the working of our human body, we learn that there is an intelligence beyond us, but yet human beings think they're oversmart, smarter than the human body. But we're built with mechanisms that we can use. Number 3, it improves our mood. Number 4, it helps us to overcome hurt and pain. You see, today, let's say you're going through a breakup, okay, something isn't going well in your relationship, someone betrayed you, someone said something hurtful. The first thing that we do is we embrace the emotion, we feel it, but then we try to numb it. So we go and we speak to 10 friends and we want 10 friends to say good things, validate us, justify us so we feel better. Or we go shopping, or we take the drugs, we take the alcohol, we take the sugar, carbohydrates, and all of that stuff. Guess what? What if you really embraced that pain and actually cried? Because the crying will actually help you to feel better and overcome the obstacles of what you're going through. The same way we try to find the root cause of your disease, try to find the root cause of your emotion. Because if you have to cry it out, guess what? We can overcome that grief or that hurt or that pain way, way quicker. Let me give you an example. Today, when someone in the family dies, a close relation or whoever it is, people hardly grieve anymore. We're sad, we cry initially, but we don't go through the grieving process like our ancestors would go through. Whether it's 5 days or 7 days or 10 days, there was a ceremony attached, but you went through a grieving process. You cried, you grieved together as a family, so everything comes out of your system. Doesn't mean all your hurt and pain will go, but it comes out of your system. So grieving is a way of overcoming your hurt, your pain, the loss of a loved one, the loss of anyone. It helps us overcome that so we can get back to our lives. Of course, that instance in our life, even way after the grieving process, we remember that person. We may cry a little bit, but we feel better. But the problem with most people is they don't grieve completely. They go back to their lives. They try to distract themselves from the pain of loss. They try to distract themselves by numbing themselves socially or with drugs, alcohol, shopping, sugar, whatever it is I said. But that emotion that you've pushed back in you always comes up. It has to come up. A suppressed emotion has to come up no matter how much you're suppressing it. And when it comes up, it hits you really bad. So you see, sometimes the grieving process, go ahead. You don't want to cry in front of other people. Go lock yourself in a room. Cry as much as you can, because that is a mechanism that is inbuilt in us to help us get better, to help us through survival, to help us to adapt to every single day. It is a natural mechanism. Okay, it also brings emotional balance. Like I said, we can cry when we're happy. We can cry when someone says something nice about us. We can cry when you've done a good deed and you feel so good about yourself. So you see, crying also brings an emotional balance. And the last point, it helps you sleep better. So if there's something that's stressing you out, some hurt or pain that you're going through, try to cry it out before you go to bed, genuinely. To genuinely cry, genuinely embrace your emotion. Go through the pain. You see, most psychology today teaches us to distract ourselves. But if you look at original psychology, it teaches you to feel the emotion completely. Go through that tough journey once and for all. Feel it once and for all. And then you can overcome it. With grieving, crying, your emotional support, psychologists, psychiatrists, all of that stuff. But today, we're taught to create distractions. Go speak to more friends. Go do all of that. I don't have a problem with that. That's not your solution. You are only numbing the emotion, which at some point has to come up, irrespective of the counseling you're doing and irrespective of the amount of psychiatric drugs that you are on. Take your drugs, do your counseling, but understand at some point you got to face that emotion on your own or with the help of someone else. So cry. It's as simple as that. Sometimes you may want to pick up something that's hurt you a long time ago, and if it's still hurting you, that means you've still not embraced it or faced it head on. If it means you got to sit and cry, even though it brings up all of those images and that whole incident again, do it once and for all. But these are the health benefits, and that's why we cry. The human body hasn't made any mechanism that is useless. A long time ago, people said the gallbladder was useless. People said the spleen was useless. People said the appendix was useless. Today, science is showing us that it isn't useless, and all of them have important roles to play in the human body. So embrace your emotions. If you're a puppet to society, you will be a puppet to society. You'll try to be strong all the time, but behind closed doors, you're drinking alcohol, you're smoking drugs, you're taking drugs because you're weak. It's okay if you're weak and you have to cry, but you are better off being weak and solving your problem once and for all. Once and for all, solving that problem rather than trying to be strong and trying to carry a facade which after a while becomes so heavy and so confusing that most people don't even know who they are anymore. Go behind closed doors or cry. Find a good friend and cry. Get it over with once. And this is how we improve our emotional health and our physical health. Because crying will also have a positive impact on your physical health. All the suppressed stress is causing every possible disease today, from cancer to cardiovascular to Alzheimer's and everything else. Not the only cause, but multifactorial. So you want to overcome that stress by embracing the emotion once and for all and crying it out. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.